Howdy all. Hope everybody is well. Welcome to the AskGolfNut podcast. With the math nut, he is waiting patiently. Apologies for the mess. I have a big pile of mess down here. We'll get into reasons why we've got a big pile of mess in a little while. So, very quick one today. We've got, normally we have an agenda, I like that one. When we go to the podcast, we'll see. However, obviously, because I've been fairly busy, as you can potentially see, that, well, I haven't got one. So we are talking about a said certain thing, and we are talking about chat questions, etc. So it's a bit more of a free-for-all today. So let's go pop over to see Andy. Let's go see how he is. I always lose Andy at this point. Let's see if I can get him back on. And here we go. Here he is. Hello, Andy. Math nut.
I'm here. Not very awake, but I'm here.
I feel you on that one. I'm tired. I've been awake for long enough, and I'm tired because I've been busy building, as you can quite well see by the little blurred image behind me. We have the start, at least, of
Robot.
I don't know what we're going to call it. Many people have put their oar in as to what they think they should call it. And I'm thinking about what I will do, because obviously this is not finished at all. I was thinking about putting a panel in this front one here. Yeah, all the way over there, and putting a panel in that. Like black panel. You'll see in a little bit, because I've put panels on other bits and pieces. So, and I can then write all the names of the very kind people that have contributed, put donations in to the creation of this little thing. It was not little, this thing over here, and we'll chat about that one in a little bit. But what do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I already told you, I'm very impressed. I was not expecting it to come together this quickly. I mean, we spent quite a bit in the design phase, back and forth, making sure that we accounted for as much as we could in the design phase, and then so far it's taken longer to ship parts than it has to put them together.
Yes, that is true. Fortunately, when you're grabbing parts from everywhere in the world to try and make something, I mean, there's parts of this robot here that have been made in all different parts of the globe, and so it is very much so a multinational beast, this thing is. Although I was quite surprised with the aluminium extrusion, just how really versatile and amazingly strong it is. I've never used aluminium extrusion before, especially not this kind of stuff here. However, you can build, can you build a house with it? Possibly. It's very good.
It's the big boys version of Lego.
It is. You can make, if you've got an imagination of how to put certain parts together to create certain things, it's all adjustable. It is a rather fun piece. So on the right hand side, rather than having all the 3 different things or 5 different things we chat about, as you can see, it's been a bit of a rush job today because of the fact that I have been busy doing other projects. And so it is going to be robot, or whatever you want to call it, and then chat questions today. So I am waiting for people to jump onto the chat. Here we go. I just need to reset it. There we go, where everyone is in. Anthony's in the house. Hello. Robot, yes. Robot is here. YouTube drink already. Robot must, RoboNut must be the name. I liked RoboNut. Impressive progress. It is. I've surprised myself, and I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll for the early watchers, the early viewers, I will give you a little treat. It may allow you Let's try that one. Yep, that works now. That works now. Happy days. I haven't got a clue. Probably not. They probably may not be able to hear you because I don't know if I've got the Discord. No, they won't. They won't be able to hear you at all, unfortunately, I don't think. So, this is RoboNut, we'll call it, until we get other ones that are better than RoboNut. I have got in the vice grip here, in the clamp, a certain club which I don't mind destroying if everything goes wrong. I have got the Cali X7 iron. So if that goes horribly explodes, then that doesn't really matter. We've got plenty of other things around here. So we have the massive, big old motor. We have the framework. I have got the corner plates to put on tomorrow to make the frame a little bit more sturdy. It is rather sturdy considering it is boltable. So the, excuse the mess, we've still got aluminium filings everywhere from when I'm drilling stuff. But we have the T-frame. We have got the 3 axis, X, Y, and Z. So normal robots, they effectively have a manual one of those that moves the T around and stuff like that. Nope, I went the complex route. I decided we're going to have motors everywhere, and so I can control the T. And of course, I'm going to be doing quite a bit of mishit data as well, no different to normal. And I want that computer controlled. I don't want to have to constantly be doing this and moving stuff around. Yeah, obviously for the most part, when you talk about other channels that do have robots, there's not many, but there's some do. Generally speaking, they're looking at hitting shots, hitting a batch of shots, and not necessarily looking at moving, mishitting too much. I mean, cool clubs are probably the only ones which really do it to the extent which I'm thinking about doing it anyway. And so we have that. There you go. We have that. It's not finished, so yeah, don't say anything about the aesthetics. It's not finished. But there we go. Let's see if I can flick it across here. And let's see if that still works. Yeah, everything's still working. We are happy. Right, hopefully everyone can still hear me. Now me moving over to here. There's a bit of a mess, but there you go. Oh, now I've cut Andy out. There we go. Andy's back in. Oh, dear me. Here he goes. He's back in the house. So, anyway, what do you think? What we got? Yeah, no, I say can't hear you, JR. No, I didn't press the right button. So, Anthony, will this have an automatic ball placer? V1, that responsibility is mine. I will be the automatic ball placer. Although there is already a rather good design for the V2 system. This effectively at the moment is just purely to see if the concept worked. Bear in mind, I've made all this and there's no guarantee that it'll work.
No, I give you a money back guarantee. It's going to work.
Yeah. So, and on that note, thank you very, very much to everybody. I want to say this before I carry on. I want to say thank you to everyone that has very kindly donated via the website. As you can see on the website down here, there's a little donate button. That's where most people have been doing their donations towards the Swing Robot, and it's a very, very kind thing for you to do. I've had some amazing donations, some crazy large donations as well, considering I was expecting the odd £1 or £2 here and there, but thank you very, very much to everyone. And also I was thinking about putting a panel down in here because I can put every single person's name, Discord username, whatever you'd prefer, on there to say a thank you. That's the whole idea. Don't know yet. The world's your oyster with aluminium extrusion.
And a brain.
You can do what you want. So
it's the brain.
The plan is that this thing will do the 3 different swing speeds, the 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, and the 80, 95, 110. That's the plan. The making of it is just the start. The software side of things, that comes afterwards. Now this is the visually impressive part, where you make something and you go, whoa, that looks cool. How heavy is the full rig right now?
Good question.
How heavy?
I don't know.
Let's see now. Hang on, Andy. Sorry. Andy just said, because I need to copy Andy's things across. Really, if I can do that very, very quickly, I will do. If I can copy that and then get in that one and then go paste there. Yep. And see if I can now move Andy. Sorry, Andy. I know you're apologising a little bit now. So I'm doing this on the fly, so apologies for things. Now, hopefully, Andy, say something for me. Okay. So for some reason, yeah. I'm trying to find. Andy's audio has not come through with the visuals, which is a pain. So let's just do it the old-fashioned way. Oh, what we got here? Jay, I have a CAD file for my player's distance 7 iron. Oh, I tell you what, whilst we do that, we'll pop back over the podcast so you can see here and Andy. Andy, do me a favour, fill in while I'm doing production based. Yeah.
I don't know if Jay has any software that he can open a CAD file in. I mean, any CAD file type will probably work eventually because we're going to have to find software for him to use it on. But I mean, a stat file is usually the general consensus for the best file type.
I haven't got anything. I don't use CAD. I suppose the most CAD idea that I've ever used was Google SketchUp. I don't think that counts. Somewhat. We might do. You never know. But I've done certain things in Google SketchUp, but not necessarily anything like that. So, come on. Add existing. Discord video source. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
you are massive.
File if you want him to look at it in 3D and all that jazz. I mean, you could just give him an STL file, but that's not going to be able to allow him to analyze CG locations and stuff like that.
I'm amazed if Darren has actually made himself an iron like that. I mean, that's quite impressive. I know you've messed around in your time, Andy, with creating certain things, but
yeah, I have a few irons in the design stages.
That is quite impressive. Right, I just want to test something. Right, can you say something, Andy?
I can indeed say a lot.
Right, good. So I think we are good, both you and I.
Oh, it's a miracle.
It is a miracle, especially with me doing it on the fly. Normally, so like in massive channels, I've seen them before in certain podcasts and other channels that they have the person just doing it, and then they have 2 or 3 other people doing all the production side of things. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Me doing everything. What did I come over here for? I can't remember now. It was quite...
we were talking about total weight, and I asked the weight of the motor.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so total weight.
Heavy.
Oh, the ball's come off, but I can quite easily move it.
Yeah.
So it's heavy, yes, but not like, oh my God, heavy.
I mean, this is why aircraft are mostly aluminum, because, strength versus weight, it's hard to beat.
Or aluminium, if you speak the right way. So, yeah, it's, as you can see, it's movable. Now, I've made it movable, obviously weight-wise and everything, but my main concern more than anything else is space. Now, in my studio, as the years have gone on, as you probably guys can, the bags and the clubs have grown to a point of where I'm now running out of space anyway, so I'm having to sort of store stuff elsewhere. So the last thing I can really justify is clogging the studio up with more rubbish. So I've built this in 2 parts. The framework comes away. That's why there's so many bits and pieces on the floor, because today one of the last things I did was added those 2 bolts on this side, 2 bolts on that side, undo it. This frame and the quad frame comes off, and then this frame is movable as well. So whole idea, when I do my stuff on camera, it will sit out of the way over there, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, plug it all in. I don't want to hit the shots, although I don't want the robot to hit the shots from here. I want the robot to hit the shots in and around here. So, I mean, it will hit shots, you can see, it will do its thing. Obviously with power, but that's what all this, you can't see this. If you saw, it looks really nice and neat until you look around the back here, and I've got all the drivers and the power supply, and we've got the power supply and driver for the big one there. I still need to connect that up. I still need to have a massive USB cable or something to connect everything to the computer so I can tell it what to do. But it's movable. It is, and it's even more movable when I unbolt it, because then you take, I mean, this is a 20 kilogram, basically 20 kilogram motor, which is quite a heavy beast. And of course it's adjustable. So we do the lie angle. So the whole idea of doing the lie angle is so we can make sure we can keep everything within reason. Exactly the same for lie, loft, and path, etc. Just so make sure you can get face angle, path, lie, everything should effectively go straight. And if it doesn't go straight, it's because there's a bias left or right with that golf club driver potentially, or even, well, iron. There's a couple of golf clubs that have been severely, I would say, from an irons perspective, draw biased. One shouts out straight away, Vice VGI 02. That was quite draw biased. But so there are exceptions. But yeah, the main thing is going to be for drivers, but we can keep everything however we want. We can adjust it. That's the whole idea of doing that. But it's quite cool. I'll get some zoomed in shots. When I release it properly, I will do some proper, I have actually got a video about Swing Robot ready to come out as such. And so for you guys that are watching, effectively it will be, I'm quitting unless I do this kind of video.
That's it. I quit.
Well,
and then
no,
the next video.
that one's been done.
And then the next video will be the best quitting video of 2025.
Yeah, unfortunately, videos like that have been done already. I Quit is a classic. Yep. Dear me, people would do that. But yeah, so I need to connect. Well, I'm thinking I need to connect. So I've got another one of these to connect. That needs to go into the other driver. But yeah.
That's not golf driver, by the way. That's digital motor driver.
Yeah, that's one of these little green thing that goes on the end of one of those HB808C drivers.
Oh, look at him. He's learning. He's getting all the numbers now in his head. He's got all the wires.
Yeah, can't help it. I'm starting to
compared to where you were a month ago. It's a lot of information to have to stored.
It's crazy. It really is. Right, I'm going to catch up on some of these questions. So I've just answered Anthony's. How heavy is it? It's heavy-ish, but I can move it no problem whatsoever. Darren says that he's done his CAD file for players. Good. I have an aperture in the sole in which will be filled with tantalum weight, lowering my CG, helping the ball in the air. Andy can possibly explain more of why CG location is important. But should we do that one now, Andy? Do you want to explain why CG location is very, very important in any golf club, but especially in iron?
Yeah, so modern club design theory is that, launch factor. We have launch factor as a stat. And the more we review clubs with precise data, the more we realize how good launch factor is of a stat. Spin, spin. As long as it's consistent, I don't really care whether it's 6,000 or 4,700. It really doesn't do that much for you. launch
And you have to have a
factor.
boatload of spin to get that classic, what people perceive as
Lift.
the ultimate stopping power by, the climbing, ballooning flight and coming down. You've got to have spin
It's
ridiculous.
almost impossible to do for an average swing speed. Producing
Yeah.
about a 1.5, 1.10 ball speed. No amount of spin is going to produce a ballooning ball flight.
And if it could, it would be so wasteful, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, you'd lose so much distance to gain that descent angle that it's not worth it. So,
No.
launch factor, we see irons in the classic irons in about the low 70s, and then we're seeing some of the modern irons get creeping up into the 80. And we added the Aerojet to the data recently. We went back and grabbed that data, and it had an 82%.
That is still on gold. So that would still be.
Yeah.
You can. It's fine. You can still say that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just at the moment. It's
but
just
we added that to the low, and it's an 82% launch factor.
It's the highest we've ever seen.
That is why it goes so far.
Yeah. It's fairly strong lofted,
but it doesn't have a huge face speed. It's the launch factor is what it comes down to. Low. See, having the lower loft gets you a higher smash factor. Like, for every degree of loft you go up, you lose 0.1 or as much of a smash factor. So you go up 4 degrees, you're losing quite a lot of smash factor. But if you can lower the loft, but launch it just as high, you've gained all the speed and now got the descent angle. And that's what launch factor brings to the
because you're going to gain the launch, you're going to get launch, and you're going to get peak height, and from that will denote descent angle. Far more than you can do with spin.
A classic iron, let's say we have a 34-degree face, and the ball is 42 millimeters. So that means the CG of the ball is at 21 millimeters, which is about 0.84 of an inch. We have to deal with converting metrics here because we talk about balls in millimeters, but the clubs are usually measured in inches and stuff like that. It's a pain in the ass, but it's 0.84 of an inch, and that means that basically the CG of the iron is directly horizontal to the CG of the ball, which means the launch angle is the major point of the force is pushing it sideways, not up, because it's horizontal. So that although the face gives it
pushing
angle,
it forward. It's not going.
The energy wants to go forward. It doesn't want to go up. It wants to go forward. It's just the angle of the face that kind of makes it go up. Now you drop the CG down, like 2 or 3 mil lower than that, and now you're starting to see that force wanting to push the ball up. And some of the really low CG irons are in the 0.7 of an inch, so they've lost 0.14 of an inch down, and that changes your launch factor by 10%. I've been looking at getting the CG down to 0.6 of an inch, and now you're getting a launch factor of almost 90%.
For slow swing speed golfers, that would be potentially game changing.
Yeah, you could run a 26 loft, a 26 lofted iron that'll fly like a 30-degree lofted iron,
with the speed of a 26-degree lofted iron.
Yeah, and that's where big gains could be had for slow, sub 80 miles per hour.
I honestly could see this. I don't know if Cobra have done this on a long-term basis idea, I don't know, but with their 3D printed idea and how they continue to do that, most manufacturers, as in all manufacturers, if they've got an end goal, if they've got an end game, they don't get there in first iteration. It is a sales and marketing disaster if they do that. The whole idea is they've got to try and get to the pinnacle of where they know they can get to at that given point, whatever that year is. And of course that gets pushed as technology starts getting a bit better and they understand the physics get a bit better and stuff like that. But they want to get there in small jumps because that means they've got about 4 or 5 different releases that they can do that with. rather than going straight there. Because it's a marketing and sales game at the end of it, isn't it? Of course, they're companies which are trying to push boundaries because they're trying to outsell the competitors. That's the whole idea of business. That's why there's so many different manufacturers in golf. You can't, let's not get away from it. It is a business. They already know the direction they want to go. You have certain manufacturers that, I wouldn't say make mistakes, but they jump a bit too quick in one go. And I'll probably have to put my hands up on here, and I think possibly Mizuno did that. Then also Shrixon did that last time as well with the Mark IIs.
But I mean, there's an argument to be made that the small guys kind of have to do that initially to compete. Right? If they make the big leap ahead of the big boys, they get a market share. Now, holding on to that market share, if the big boys then do the follow-up catch-up move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you were starting out, I guess you would want to make the biggest leap you could initially, and then slow the pace back down. But yeah.
Anyway, I just saw Storm in Norman says, channel your inner average golfer's title.
Yeah. So it doesn't take much to lower the CG, but it takes a much in terms of design. To lower the CG in terms of design actually takes a lot of thought because, one, the hosel is actually considered part of the mass. So all that big chunky hosel on the one side of the club is part of the mass. So you have to consider you have to offset that high mass in order to lower the CG. So it takes a lot of design to get that CG below 0.7 of an inch.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, if you look at the difference in thickness and weight of the material between a very thin-walled steel shaft against that thick clump of a mass of the hosel, if you could reduce the size of the hosel, reduce it down by quite some considerable margin, and still be able to get the shaft in there to fit and stay on there, that would help massively.
All right, where are questions?
Where GT2 versus Callaway Elite Driver, says Jessica. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, we missed a few questions.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done the Callaway Elite Drivers on the basis of, well, I was hoping that enough people were basically going to say to me, Jay, we really want the Elite Drivers, we really want the Elite Drivers. And apart from a few, and it really is relatively very, very small amounts, no one seemed to care.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily understand why. I mean, Callaway always make good drivers, and they sound possibly the best on the planet, although the QI35 LS is quite nice. So that's why I haven't done the Callaway Elite, on the basis that I don't necessarily want, especially with my knee, news on the knee, because I haven't been swinging now because I've been creating that thing. Knee is feeling a lot better, which is good. Hopefully going forward, RoboNut will make sure that my knee don't hurt anymore, ever again.
Did Anthony ask?
Is RoboNut also not shaft sensitive? We were having a conversation about that. Well, we didn't have to say a conversation. It was probably a two reply thing, wasn't it?
You can actually look at it both ways. It's either 100% shaft sensitive or not shaft sensitive. And the reason for that is because it's not trying to produce a specific flight. Therefore, it doesn't really care. So therefore, it's not shaft sensitive because it doesn't care. All we care about is measuring the impact point. Now, and the data relative to that impact point. It's going to swing at a certain acceleration, and that acceleration is going to dictate how much load is going to be on the shaft. Now, we could tweak the acceleration curve for every shaft so that the release point lines up, but we don't really care. We just wanted to swing at a speed. We don't really care whether it's adding loft or decreasing loft. It doesn't matter as long as we know what that loft is. The robot, we don't care from the robot data what that value is. So it's shaft sensitive, just like everybody is to a degree. Like the different shafts could produce different results, but it's not shaft sensitive, as in we don't care.
No, because again, it's whatever it produces, it produces. It's the golf club will perform exactly the same way, whether you have a different shaft in it. The shaft will deliver different angles, but the head itself will perform exactly the same way. It will still have a propensity to want to launch the golf ball at a certain amount launch factor, and it will spin at a certain amount with spin rate, and it will have a certain face speed. But whether you have different shafts in there, it makes no difference. Now, my preference would be that we were to tune the acceleration curve to a point of where the head is always in a certain amount. I would prefer it not kicking forward, because if it didn't, if it kicks forward and it kicks, so shaft cycling happens for my side of things a little bit too early. I don't want the angle of attacks and face to paths and stuff like that to go awry. If it kicks forward, it's then going to make the face look left. So I would prefer to have acceleration curve to a point of where everything is always accelerating to a point just after the ball has been hit. And then and it's a linear, well, not linear.
It's basically, we're going to swing it so it's always under a little bit of load. So that way that it doesn't kick. And really what we're talking about here is that it's no different than if we compared two irons with two different lofts. That's what we're saying, is the machine's going to deliver different lofts based on the shafts. But we don't care about that. Whether we don't care if the iron's 34 degrees or 32 degrees. The math, everything we do handles that and tells us how that club performs at any loft.
Yeah, so that's effectively the information that we create on that basis, even if you have a 34 degree loft or a 32 degree loft, it normalizes it out so both clubs are whatever it would be anyway. It's a reference on something where every golf club does this relative to its loft. It launches at 78% of its delivered loft, or it launches it at 73% of its delivered loft. Whatever its delivered loft will be, again, we're talking about two different golf clubs, say 2 degrees apart, but two different golfers may deliver 10 degrees difference in delivery. So it's, as long as the math does the thing. And the great thing with that, we won't have to worry about doing so much math.
And the other thing about the robot is it delivers 0 shaft lean. There's no shaft lean component.
Yeah.
It always delivers 0 shaft lean. So when the delivered loft is not static, we know it only comes from one place. And that's
that was my next thing. I was going to ask you, when it comes to, say, 7-iron, shall we do 0-0, so angle attack 0, shaft lean 0, or should we do angle of attack 2 degrees down, and therefore, because it is a perfect hula hoop?
We could do a comparison, right? We could deliberately set it up one way or the other, and show that it doesn't matter what these values are, the output of the equations is the same.
Yes.
And therefore, it doesn't matter whether we deliver 0-0 or you can't. You're saying, but golfer always has to deliver 4 down.
No, because spin loft is exactly the same regardless. Doesn't change. So. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. But, what did he say? Okay, so MathNut said, do we know how much torque this thing will make when it swings? Will it rock at all?
Yeah, well, we know that the maximum torque of the motor is 60 Newton meters.
Not rock.
I won't explain what a Newton meter is, because that's getting down a...
Do the foot pounds. Convert it to foot pounds. That's probably the easiest thing, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't do that in my head. I'm not going to try doing that in my head. But
isn't it something like nearly 3/4 or something like that?
I don't know. But but the trouble is, it's all rotation. It's torque, but it's all rotational velocity. So the head's rotating around a circle. So the direction of the force is constantly changing. So most of the excess force goes into bending the shaft relative to the head. And the mass of the club and the head is so minuscule compared to the weight of the motor and the frame that the torque relationship back into the frame is relatively minor. So
I thought that on there, because that is on a holder, So that is on a big aluminium holder, horseshoe holder. And I was thinking that at one point I was going to have to put a spacer or something between the motor and the frame that it sits on, yeah, and strap it down. However, that is bolted in so ridiculously, that is not moving. The whole studio will move before that does.
It's like how, energy transfer is always, force and mass. So we have a lot of energy in the club, but the mass is relatively light compared to the mass of the rest of the system. So, if the club head weighed a couple of kilograms, that might start to be able to move the frame, but it's not going to move the frame in a specific direction because the force is rotational. So the direction of force is always, in a different direction. So it's not going to. It may go like if we swung and suddenly stop it, there might be enough sort of stop force to kick the machine, but we don't plan on doing that. The acceleration curve is going to be accelerate up, maximum velocity impact, and then accelerate down. So there's no sudden start or stop in velocity. So
that's the whole idea of it. Whether it will work that way, we'll see. And his side note, I picked up one of the Mizuno SC Max hybrids, revisit the old review before buying, possibly my favourite club in the bag. Don't have favourites. Guys, don't have favourites. If you can get away with it, don't have favourite clubs. They are tools that do a certain job. Because that means
and if you do have a favourite, ask yourself, why is it my favourite? And why can't all my clubs be my favourite?
It's true. Looking forward to more hybrid and fairway tests with RoboNut, and that's the pleasure of it. So the whole idea is I do get other golf clubs from manufacturers, as well as just the drivers and the irons as well. But honestly, let's just be completely honest. It takes 2 days for me to do a review if you take in all the hitting, all the filming, all the editing, etc. And unless that video is going to potentially be worth it, the time that is, I can't justify doing it. I mean, who would work for 2 days knowing full well that they are not going to get really paid anything for it because hardly anyone cares about fairway, woods and hybrid videos. It's true, it's a shame because they are one of, or both of, the most important golf clubs in the bag for a lot of golfers, but no one cares. However, now with RoboNut, or whatever we will be calling it, I can now potentially do all the testing that I need to, especially when V2 automatic ball loader potentially rears its head. That it's just a case of set the program and off it goes, and then I can just upload all the data to the website. So all the website users will have it. Obviously YouTube won't, and you won't necessarily get the looks and the feel side of things, which is an interesting side of obviously the website because obviously all the information on the website is objective measured data. There's no subjectivity on there whatsoever. And it may be worth at one point adding something, I don't know, because again, it's all subjective as my view, and yeah, don't know. Don says, Andy, what data points do you keep up when you are practicing? I have just got my Mevo Plus and just hooked up. Lots of data to look at.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Mevo has a lot of data for the price point. Can be overwhelming when you first get it. But so for practicing purposes, not fitting or club selection purposes, distance doesn't matter, right? Your distance is already dialed in by what club you've got in your hand. Now you can improve club head speed, but then that's just looking at smash factor. If your smash factor goes up, then you're striking the ball further better, and it's going to go further. But for practicing of swing, it's path and face the path. You want to look at those numbers, and you want to see how often it's changing. You want to see your path be within a few degrees, 2-3 degrees of the center line consistently. If your path goes from -5 to +5, that's not good. That means you never know where your ball's going to go. And so if you've got a 5 degree inside path, you want to see it, no more than 7 and less than 3. That'll give you a window that your path is going to be pretty consistent. And then face the path is the same thing. Whatever your face the path needs to be to create the shape that you want. So if you're 2 inside, you know, and you got 1 or 2 degrees closed, you're going to see this baby draw, and you know, you don't want to see those numbers fluctuate a lot.
2 big numbers that always fluctuate with golfers is face angle and strike point. But face angle and strike point are intimately linked anyway. So if you've got poor face control, chances are also going to have poor strike control as well. Right.
Yeah. And then the other one, the secondary value is low point. If you've got the Mevo data, the plus package on the pro package on the Mevo, it's going to give you low point, and that's kind of good to know. If that's fluctuating too. If your low point's fluctuating a lot, you're going to have a lot of balls that just don't look all right and don't come out. And, you know, it tells you whether you're fatting them, you're thinning them, and so low point's a nice one to have.
Darren says elite drivers are ugly. People don't want ugly drivers. Again, subjective. Some people like them, some people don't.
Those 8.0 drivers that you got those are nice looking drivers. Shiny blue.
Which ones?
The stepper motor drivers.
Oh, those 808. If I could show you them, oh, lovely. But I can't because they're all bolted on now.
They look kind of like your putter, but blue.
Yeah, they do. I just saying they look like a little bit like in my old putter. Where is that thing? Who is that? Someone just popped up as thank you very much for subscribing.
EJ Mulroy.
Yep, thank you very much. Always welcome. Which one was it? No, wrong one. Bear with.
While you're looking for that, I'll go to the next question.
Ooh, just whack my camera mount.
Would increased load on the shaft due to shaft lean? Increased load with shaft lean due to increased club head speed on the robot express the shaft variances. Yeah, I mean the thing with the robot is it's gonna have a release point, a fairly consistent release point. So from that standpoint, we'll be able to tell whether the shaft profile is softer or stiffer based on the delivered loss relative to that fixed release point. But that's only relative for the robot. You know, if your release point is different, you could get very different results. So the robot isn't going to be good for testing shafts. You know, it's not designed for that. So,
from my point of view as well, I mean, really, the problem with shafts, you can have shafts which are designed to do a certain task, whatever that is. But you put that same shaft in 10 different golfers' hands, and because then 10 different golfers do 10 different things, that shaft will still have 10 completely different results. And it's not just a case of people saying that, well, the bend profile is set such that it's designed to be a high launch shaft. But I've seen golfers that have low launch shafts hit the golf ball higher and spin it more than ones that, because how they react to it and how it changes their swing is just there's the problem with shafts.
I got a question this morning about it in the tee box, and I did probably an over
on Discord.
On Discord on the tee box, so open to everybody, and like I kind of explained why changing profile doesn't necessarily produce the results that you think it's going to do, based on the 2 curves produced by the shaft flexing. And if you read that, go into Discord and read that post, it'll give you maybe a better understanding of why results don't always match expectations.
There you go. Welcome back, Forrest, as well. Nice to hear from you. Nice to not necessarily see you, but see you on the chat at least. Anthony says, another specific question. The clamp on the grip itself, does that need to be as long as 2 hands stacked? Would too short a clamp change how flex is imparted? Yes. From a point of view, if I gripped it right down to the bottom where the club head was, yes.
Yeah.
But relative to, I mean, it will bend anyway, because if I was to grab any golf club, let's just grab this one. What's this one? Pro 245, right? And let's just get in the field of view. There we go. There we go. If someone was to be able to bend or move this, yeah, obviously I'm going to go with it. And the problem is I'm not going to be able to keep it absolutely solid. And so therefore, unfortunately, you are not going to see how much this can bend. You put this same thing in that, where that motor and that clamp is not moving, and you can get that head and bend it around with that much force, considering you won't be able to do it with my hands like this. They bend a lot. There's a lot of movement in these shafts.
So what's interesting is we just did a big piece on CG of the head. People don't understand necessarily that the shaft has a center of gravity vertically along the shaft. So the head, the grip, and just like gear effect of a driver, how when hitting the ball relative to the CG creates deflection, the CG of the shaft is no different. All deflection will rotate around the center of gravity, the vertical center of gravity of the shaft. So if you grip further down, you change the center of gravity of the shaft because you're changing the mass that's able to flex. So changing the grip point can change where the shaft will flex the center of gravity that it'll flex around. But in terms of one grip, one hand, two hand, it's neither here nor there. As long as we do everything the same, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so what I'm going to potentially do is, you can see from that image just on there, and I can't zoom in, but you can see a little bit of the grip sticking out of the top. So the chances are all I'm going to do on every single one will be set every single grip from 100mm from the top, or whatever number it will be. Just set, there's going to be certain parameters that we'll set when it comes to doing the testing, or we'll probably sit down. Once this is tested and working, fingers crossed, I still have not tested the Z-Lift motor yet, so we don't know if that works. But we'll have to set a certain amount of criteria that we're going to stick to on every single test. And it will be something as daft as, right, every club is gripped from this distance away from the butt end, everything's aligned perfectly straight to this within a degree of this, or 0 point whatever it is. We'll sit down and work out exactly what is tolerance. And then we'll do a test every single way like that. And then effectively the shaft will bend how the shaft will bend, and we'll just physically just move the tee box. That's the whole idea of that tee mechanism, which is extremely complex, I suppose, overcomplicated maybe. But the fact that we could move it just a millimetre if we wanted to, or a tenth of a millimetre if we wanted to make sure we get, or at least account for the differences in flex. We have to change lie angles. So what we'll have is that's set up at the moment like 61.7 degrees. I think that lie angle set up at the moment. But because of that motor there framework is adjustable, we can set that to literally whatever we want. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Right. Forrest says, reason I ask about shaft info. I recall, Jay, you had noted how important the shaft is for fitting. Absolutely, it is for 99.99 whatever % of people. Shaft is extremely, well, I'll say, not I mean, for every golfer, shaft is either extremely important or not important, depending on where you are in the scale. There are far, 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 far more people which are shaft sensitive than not, and so on the grand scheme of everything, shafts are extremely important.
And people think because we say you don't know what's going to happen when you switch from shaft to shaft, that kind of is like saying nothing important is going to happen. That's not true. Very important things can happen. The point is you can't predict what those very important things are going to be necessarily beforehand without a very expensive motion tracking software. You see the Gears software guys that have the studio with the dots like on the people's bodies up and down the shaft. Now, when you get the full Gears data, you can more accurately predict what a change in profile is going to do because you're measuring every point of the shaft and stuff like that. And the Mizuno swing DNA is a simpler version of that. So it gets enough data that it can tell you what profile is probably going to work better for you. But at the same time, it can't be accurately predict what going from this shaft to this shaft is going to do for your swing, because those dynamics are personal, not mathematical, and
Yep.
therefore
I agree.
predicting it can tell you what shaft is probably going to work for you, but it can't tell you necessarily what changing shaft's going to do. So it's not that there's no importance to shaft. There's a lot of importance to shaft, but we can't predict what changing it's necessarily going to do for you.
Remember, when it comes to Swing DNA, which is still, to date, the Swing DNA Shaft Analyzer is still the best tool that any manufacturer has ever made to measure someone's bend profile, how someone offends a shaft, or loading profile, throughout the entire swing. Let's face it, transition and through into release point is the most important. It measures, but effectively, they're still the best. Don't know of any other manufacturer that's come up with something better as yet, apart from the like of Gears, because Gears is an amazing thing.
For how simple it is, it does a very good job. And I've tried to build my own one of those, and I know what the difficulties of doing it are. So, it does the things it needs to do very well. It's limited still. There's still some limitations, but
Always.
compared to blind, guessing work, it's an amazing piece of kit.
So you have to, even with that, which is still the best known way to actually measure someone's bend profile, that gives you your best options to try. Doesn't mean that straight away, because they've measured you to this beat and you are 5-star dynamic gold 115 mid, whatever it would be, and that's going to be your shaft. That is a starting point. That gives you an idea from a fitting point of view. This guy, this girl loads it like this, physically offends a shaft this way. This is going to be potentially the most stable one. Start from there. That's all it is. That is okay, most people will jump on that shaft, and because they've never had a shaft fitting before, or at least had a shaft which suits their swing, the changes instantly are like, wow. So, but that's not to say it's the best. It means at the moment you've gone from something which is so badly fitted for you to something which is extremely close. It doesn't mean it's the best, but it means, so it's a starting point. So, yeah, shaft is an interesting topic. It's so individual.
It's a topic that people want specific answers for, and it's unfortunately one of the few topics where there is no specific answer. It's a lot of generalizations, and at the end of the day, generalizations can be just as bad for somebody as it is good for somebody, depending on where you fit on the average curve. So
absolutely right. So from another point of view would be, and so from a Formula One point of view, because I follow Formula One as well, how different cars are set up for different drivers. So all the different drivers have got different driving styles, and they all set up slightly differently. There's obviously the classic thing with the Red Bull with Max Verstappen, that he likes a hypersensitive front end, a very front end that turns very, very quickly, and has effectively made his teammate just can't drive the car. Everyone has a different feel. So, Stormin Norman says, the Avoda CEO made some interesting comments regarding fittings, said lie angle was the most important thing to get right. Your thoughts? Right, don't say Andy yet. I will write something down. Shall I use this pad? I'll use this pad, doesn't matter. Where's a pen? I'll use that one. I'm going to write, this is a yes or a no. So, the most important thing. Is it the most important thing to get right? From my point of view as a fitter and coach, right, I've written it down now, I can't change it. Pen is over here. Andy, what's your opinion? Is lie angle the most important thing to get right?
No.
You're not right or wrong for saying this. This is your opinion. No different. This is my opinion. Yeah.
Most important, definitely not the most important.
Oh, hang on.
It says yes.
It says yes.
No.
From a fitting and a coaching point of view, the differences that I have made in golfers for them understanding the correct use of dynamic lie and how the club interacts with the ground with the correct lie angle far exceeds anything that the golfer comes in with. 99.9% time it's the shaft. If you're going to go from a coaching point of view, I would always coach the person rather than deal with a crazy lie angle issue. Like the great thing with a Voda, you could argue, is the fact that they can do like 7 or 8 degrees up. They can bend like you would not believe. If you are a normal person,
doesn't that like create a circular argument though? But that they've set their system up to be able to bend that much, so they would say that lie angle is the most important because that's the thing they bring to the table.
The thing with lie is when a golfer understands the feeling, the true feeling of how a club should interact with the ground, turf-wise, after the golf ball, hopefully. Now, the interesting thing with when you get someone who hits lie 0 and they've always been 9, 10, 12 degrees toe down, the difference in feeling of it is like a light bulb going off. If you are someone who's 10 down, don't get your golf clubs bent 10 up. There is unless you're 8'7" with arms like a T-Rex, you are definitely, it's going to be a swing related issue. And if it's going to be that bad, it's a swing flaw, not a swing characteristic. So absolutely do not get your lie angles bent 8.10, again, whatever it would be. On the normal side of things, if you are someone who delivers within a 3-4 degree range, everything else is fine, but you've got that 4 degrees toe down, common. The difference you can make to someone's consistency by getting their lie angle to 0 is just amazing, because if you're hitting toe down, you're getting toe drag, you're getting effectively the angle of the face is looking off to the right for a rounded golfer, and they're fighting this left, right palm tree kind of thing. As soon as you start getting someone lie 0 and they're not having to fight the golf club, their dispersion instantly gets this way, much better, and they also get front to back better because they're not interacting with the ground first. The head, from a pure fitting point of view, is more important than lie. From a consistency of how someone performs downrange, regardless of what head they've got, lie is extremely important.
Yeah, and see, the way I think it is that if I had 2 different heads, right, and one has the perfect lie, and one doesn't have the perfect lie, but has the perfect loft and whatever, launch angle or whatever. Yes, you're going to get maybe a tighter dispersion, lateral dispersion from the lie angle, but optimally, the right head is the most important. If your head doesn't match your swing characteristics in terms of speed and D-loft, you're always going to be chasing. Yeah. So I would look at their swing and say the right loft and the right launch factor face speed combination is the most important thing for optimizing their flight. And then yes, you need to dial in their lie angle based on their swing, but I wouldn't say the lie is the most important. It's very it can really impact some people, but I don't think it'd ever be the right thing, the most important factor in a fit.
So let's move around a different way. So let's just, rather than Stormy Norman, rather than saying the most important, let's change the important word, because I think what you and I will both get, we're coming at it from different ways. I would always fit lie first. So as in,
well, knowing what the correct lie is important. knowing
So-
what it is important. But I would not fit lie first. I might know what that lie would be, but I would if you fit in that front for lie on a specific head, and then you switch head, that lie could be different.
Some clubs don't bend though. So
Yeah.
if you've got an interesting individual who is extremely flat or extremely upright in how they operate, unfortunately not all heads bend to the required limits, and so you would potentially narrow down your manufacturer list based on what manufacturer can adjust to the levels that they need.
Yeah.
Knowing if they come in 7 degrees toe down, and I'm thinking from a coach's perspective, I'm thinking I need to get that down anyway. Yes, you can do a little bit in shaft. Yes, you can do a lot of it in lie, but there'll come a point of where, especially if you're dealing with certain manufacturers that don't bend hardly at all, you either have a conversation with a person and say, look, we're either going to have to stop the fit now and let's just work on your lie angle to see if we can get you down to a certain level. Then you can have a go at this head, because if you in here, you'll probably get away with it. Lovely. You get out on the golf course where you've got grass and dirt, not sterile conditions, and that toe in the ground is you're going to be ploughing, and then you kind of have this lovely fan. And
I think we're both coming to the same conclusion from different directions. You know,
Yes.
you're coming at from this way to get their swing consistently right first, and I'm looking at it from this way to get their data consistent right first. And then we both meet in the middle, saying lie angle is going to be important. It's just where we put lie angle importance in the scale of things. And
I
for
look
me,
at the lie to get to the head, the perfect head. You're looking at the perfect head and then fitting the lie afterwards.
Well, I wouldn't fit let's say they are 7 up, right? 7 toe up, and we can't bend it more than 2 or 3 degrees. You know, I would say, all right, let's get the perfect head and then change the shaft length. If I needed to flatten it, I would shorten the shaft length with the perfect head. 7
up or 7 down, I'm changing the swing.
Oh yeah. You're assuming lessons to change that first. But at the end of the day, if you can't do that, I would change the shaft length to get the lie angle to match.
I mean, if you can move 2, let's say you got 5. I mean, that's a lot of shaft length as such. But I mean,
if you can move 2 in the head and then 2 in like a quarter inch or an eighth of an inch on the shaft length to get the other 2, I would do that.
Every half inch is 1 degree.
In theory, yeah.
So, unless the person changes stance and stuff like that. But name withdrawn. Here we go. What do you all think about Brian Wesley being suspended for playing in a live tournament?
Was it a money tournament? It says select tournament, so it was a no money. It was a charity event.
It was a live content creators thingy, wasn't it, or something or other? What I find funny about the PGA Tour, and I've got my own issues with the PGA on that side of things, is that they can't have it both ways. So you've got the PGA Tour should be like the top echelon of their sport. That should be like the best of the best of the best. Every person, every golfer on the planet should just look to the PGA Tour and that is the top tier of whatever anyone wants to get to. And then they put these things on, and I understand it's marketing, I get that, but then they put these content creator rounds of golf on at the same time there's normally a major. I can't remember which one it is this year, but they're doing an event where it's content creators when there's a major event going on. Obviously the major events are going on, and that whoever's playing in, they're not really going to get much coverage anyway because the major's on. So they're doing this, and I understand that they're trying to get as much in the way of clicks and stuff like that, but you can't. I don't understand where Liv are going a certain way. Liv have always done a certain way, a certain thing, and they're not apologising for it. That's what they're doing. And I feel that the PGA are cheapening a little bit the elite idea of the tour by coming up and doing content creators events. You could do them out of season maybe, but throughout the season, the problem is there are people that would normally have an opportunity to win that week because the big guys are off doing the majors. And now they're potentially not, because they're now being influxed with this new content event. And it's the PGA Tour. That you want YouTube to do content creative events, let YouTube do it. And you want let Live do it, let Live do it. That's the kind of the side. The PGA Tour are the elite tour. Yeah. It's just my opinion anyway. Suspended from PGA events, yes, we know. Anthony Lowe said 1 degree flat, 1/2 inch less length in shafts and irons. Have eliminated the heel hitting the floor. Yeah, so you're basically on 2 flat.
But he's a short ass too. So
how short is he? 6. He's like 6 inches shorter than most people. The floor and shredding my contact. Thank you, Andy, for your help there in Discord. Yep. Gone 2 flatter as such. Aero UK, as a mid-handicap 13, would I benefit more from a super game improvement or game improvement club like Hot Metal HL, or Players Distance Iron 425 P790? Okay, right.
245.
Yeah, it's got your switching of numbers around. Right. So, Andy, do you want to answer this one as a 13 handicap? Because I will answer it, but I'll give you an opportunity to have a go first.
So, handicap is a terrible methodology for fitting irons. There is no correlation between what iron you should play and what handicap you are.
Perfect.
And what goal you want from those irons. So, players' distance irons are should be more concisely considered as players, aka decent ball strikers, who want more distance. Yes. They are not people with inconsistent strikes who want to move into the player's iron category. So players' distance irons like 425 and the P790 will make a bad ball striker's game worse.
Yep. And it doesn't stop there. I530, another one.
Yeah. It has more speed with less consistency.
Yes.
So you take something that's already inconsistent, assuming that you're saying 13 handicap is saying that I'm a bad ball striker, you're taking bad ball striking and a club that's more inconsistent but goes further. So chances are you're going to end up further in the weeds.
That's why a handicap, whatever that number is a very, very poor determining factor of what golf club you need. If you'd have said, and this is, so Aero UK, we're not picking on you at all. We're picking on everyone who says the same thing, because it's not your fault.
And it's not anyone's fault. Yeah, it's what they've been drilled into their brain as a guide.
Media still does it. If it's online publications, still do it. Manufacturers still do it. They constantly just say, they pigeonhole these golf clubs between this bracket, these golf clubs between this bracket and this bracket. And the reason why they do that is that it allows them to justify making 7 irons in a range. But the whole idea, if anyone says, let's pick on Bob again. Hi, I'm a 13 handicap, right? However, I hit the golf ball very low. I hit it consistently low on the face, and I take massive divots or whatever, yep. And I hit a slight left to right ball flight, or all these things. There's going to be certain information that will just go, whatever. There's certain very, very interesting and useful parts on that. You hit the golf ball very low. You hit the golf ball low on the face. And so you're inconsistent because you need the forgiveness, say, low on the face, or toe, it doesn't matter, wherever the location is. There are golf clubs out there which suit different people's launch conditions and suit different people's strike patterns. That's the whole reason why we do AskGolfNut.com, because you can see from the heat maps you've got green blobs. Yes, you have, but those green blobs that you see in that picture there aren't all like that. There's some that are stretched out towards the toe and some are stretched out towards the heel. Some are very low down as well, very forgiving low. You've got all the different flights from launch factor differences between all of the different irons. And so that is the way that people need to understand how one golf club will work for them different to another, because they need to understand their own swing characteristics first, what they need from an iron, and then obviously suit the iron choice depending on what they need. Handicap, bad, understand what you need from an iron. That's the whole idea.
Swing speed, strike tendency.
Yep.
Is the two things to fit an iron around, not handicap.
Handicap is...
Yeah.
I wish manufacturers would stop. I know why they do it. They do it because they want to effectively give them justification, or not give them justification. It's the golfers that are trying to buy their equipment justification for having so many to choose from. If they basically started getting to a point of where they took away all of the numbers, it would then allow at least golfers, we need to change the industry so we just come away from these handicap driven based fittings. Happens constantly still. And that's like, what handicap are you? Oh, yeah, we need to, if we look down this route, you haven't even seen me swing yet. I might be crap at putting. Oh dear, but there you go. So Stormy Norman says, thanks chaps. Jay, you said almost verbatim what the Avoda CEO said. Avoda have some additional scope, 4 up or 4 flat. Yeah, but that's no different to Ping. Ping can go, actually they can go 6. 6 up, maroon plus. That just means the guy hits it a few more times with a hammer. If anyone has ever seen how the guys at Ping adjust lie, and if you've ever seen how the guys do it at Ping,
But doing it myself, I know it's like all brute force and less about precision.
It's amazing. So these guys that have been, I went up to, oh my word, where is it? In the UK, it'll come to me in a minute, where they've got their Ping main headquarters. They build all the sets from there, and it was hilarious to see, like, okay, the guy had an order for standard length 3 degrees up, and so he already had them built like that. So he put them in the vise, see what they are, put them in the other vise, bang, smacked it with a hammer, like a hammer, hard. Put it back, Gainsborough, thank you very much. I was going to, yeah, appreciate it. But it just smacked it with a hammer. Wow, okay. But it's got a copper head so it doesn't dent the hammer. He puts it back on the vise, it's within 0.3 of a degree.
I mean, it's like anything, you do it often enough, you get really good at it.
How the hell did you know how hard to hit that thing?
I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed that they do it by hand. Like, why isn't there a machine that does it? Like you think they'd just have a machine that does it. You put the head in the machine, the thing comes down with but it goes book.
Oh, it's just watching someone just, I won't use the word, but smack the end of this club with a hammer, puts it back into the measure. Yep. Like, what? And he does it every single time. Go to the next one. Bang. Next. Yep. Like, wow. Whew. Right, so Dot says, when adjusting a driver sleeve for a lefty, are the directional left or right or open close adjustment reverse the sleeve is set to close, but in reality it is open. Everything is on a offset Campbell off sleeve. Upsy din.
It depends. So some manufacturers make their adapters left and right versions. Like Callaway has a left and right version. So if you have the left-handed head,
because they got the cogs.
So depending, if you have the left-handed version or left-handed head, what it says on the sleeve is what it's going to do. Now, some manufacturers don't do that, and you have to look up whether you need to reverse the values. But it's not a universal thing. It depends on the actual manufacturer.
Yes. So in the fitting world, if you're a lefty, so all the righties just ignore this. If you're a lefty and you go for a fit, make sure you keep an eye on that, because a lot of fitters still do not understand, let's say a Ping, for example. A lot of fitters still don't understand that if you put a standard shaft in a left-handed head, head and you start moving it around. Now, if you go to ping and basically say, look, I want that, I'm pretty certain from memory, ping have got a left-handed shaft adapter. It's just the opposite way round and obviously printed differently for left-handed rather than right-handed. And then you do the adjustments and it'll be fine. You're doing it in a fitting environment. Make sure you keep an eye on that, because if you've got a fitter who still doesn't know, and there are so many that still do not know that using a normal, and you're doing it the opposite way round, I actually used that to my advantage one day when it comes to a certain individual that was an utter nightmare on trying to teach them. They were left-handed and they had a normal ping, I think it was left-handed hair driver, and then I flicked in my right-handed, one of my many, many shafts that I had for ping. And because I was trying to work them a certain way in their delivery, I basically gave them what they felt they wanted. But because it was a right-handed sleeve in a left-handed head, I'd put it the other way. And so they were working their butt off, doing what they were doing. Over the passage of time, we got to a certain point where they were so far out, they were going, I can't work this, I can't work this. Yeah, you pick it out, you put it around the other way, put it in, instantly, bang on where they want to be. Just if you do it the honest way, because you're dealing with humans and they're messy and they're a right pain in the backside sometimes, especially when you try to teach them, sometimes you have to use a little bit of dirty tactics to get through people's heads.
The placebo effect.
Yeah, yeah, effectively. Right. When are we going to get the wife's view on the new Mizuno apparel? So, unfortunately, this week, well, definitely this week, I have been busy, as you can see. Let's just have a look. I haven't gave the wife any, unfortunately. So I'll give you a little sneak peek at what it. I got loads of different bits. That's just boring. That's. Oh, come on, there's got to be some real funky coloured stuff under here somewhere. Mizuno, have you gone boring this year? I think Mizuno gone boring this year, guys. Oh no, found one here. Hang on, bear with. I found.
Is that purple? That's horrible if that's purple.
Yeah, that's a nice one. Any other ones? No. What's that one? Oh, that's a yeah. Anyway, so that is what is that colour? Stormy weather. It's a normal polo shirt, but it's got that weird pattern on it.
That pattern's on the shirt. I thought that pattern was on the back.
No, that's for everyone's joy. And then they're going to see you coming with this one.
It's not so bad.
That's bold. Oh, that's a bit more bold than I normally wear there, but that's blue and green. That's green on that one there.
Like Oldham Athletic.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's got white in between, so they do say, was it blue and green should not be seen unless there's something in between. But I will give them to my wife to post-it note them to see what she thinks of them. Michael Johnson said, I tried model clubs on TrackMan and lightened 52 iron swing speed. Wow, that's quite slow. So there would be certain irons that will suit you better. Best wood strike was 7 wood, 145 yards. Driver was much past 150. Very much so what happens when you have your swing speed that low. You're definitely going to be needing a very high lofted driver. Get your 12-degree lofted head and loft that baby up. But there comes a point where even that won't help. Woof. Forrest says, I've had some bad enough hits that I might need to recheck my club's lie angles. You should recheck your club lie angles every year. If you're someone who practices off certain types of mats a lot and you just play golf a lot, it is well worth getting your golf clubs checked every year and getting them tweaked. Michael Johnson says also, and the 7 wood was a Ping G440 max high launch. So yeah, you had already had the most help you can possibly get. So Yeah. Sometimes, as I've done them in the past, I've done multiple tests and videos in the past saying what is the best golf club to go for, and I've had it in the past where I've done 3, 5 and 7 wood, and you start going down in speed, the 7 wood starts outdoing the 3 wood quite quickly because it's got the loft. Keep the ball in the air. There's a lot less resistance in the air than there is on the ground. And Ski says, have heard conflicting opinions on whether Mizuno will have new woods and hybrid offerings this year. Thoughts? This year, nope.
That's we already established that's a dead no, right? The 230 is going to be throughout this year.
Yeah, the 230 max is for 2025 into 2026, but of the January, February, I think January definitely will be the last time you'll be able to get a 230 max, because February is the launch of the new woods. Now, for everyone, guys, if you're looking at trying to keep prices as low as you possibly can do, if everyone went out and bought the ST230 Max Fairway Woods hybrids and drivers to a point of where Mizuno sell out, Mizuno have said themselves that this year, with the 230 Max, they deferred what's coming to 2026 to test this for 2025. All manufacturers want market share. They want as much drivers on the market as possible. They want to sell as much as possible. But Mizuno have always struggled because Mizuno are an iron manufacturer. That's what they've always been known as, and unfortunately they struggle when it comes to woods. Over the years they have spent millions, literally millions of pounds trying to catch up with the big boys. And effectively, really, guys, there's certain golf clubs that do certain things differently. Some have bias of this way, some launch this way, some spin that way, some are more forgiving or retain more ball speed off certain parts of the face than others. But it's rare to have a driver from a big brand manufacturer that is a pile of coal. And so you do get them from time to time. So generally speaking, all manufacturers make decent equipment. You're not going to find a huge win going from a QI35 to an ST230 Max, as in from a 230 Max to a QI35. Arguably, the 230 Max is one of the most forgiving and the most consistent drivers that we've ever tested. And his cat is alive. It is. And mad. So the problem you've got with the classic thing of Mizuno is they've always said, look, do you know what? For 2025, we are going to lower the price. We are going to go put them out there at something ridiculous, and they are ridiculous. $300, I think it is, for a driver, something like that. And you're looking at double that for a lot of the other ones. And so if you guys go out and bought and they went and sold out, effectively that would then force Mizuno to start reselling their new stuff at a lower rate. They've already said, if this doesn't work, it's absolutely categorically, price has nothing to do with it. We might as well continue to do the price as exactly the same as everyone else, because if they're not buying it when it comes to the price that it is, it's ridiculous, then they're just going to put the price up to normal. It's up to you guys on that. There you go. And the 230 Max is one of the best drivers on the database. Right, are we caught up, Andy?
I guess so.
We are good. We are good. We are good. We're good. So, right, guys. All that's done. I'm going to finish now because I've still got more stuff to do on that before I finish today. And then we'll continue to tomorrow. So tomorrow I will be getting the corner brackets on all of the corners to make sure it is all nice and even more sturdy than it currently is. And then I've got to get all the... Oh, hang on, bear with. There you go. One of these things. Yeah, Arduino with that, yeah, thing on top. I've got to get that. onto there, in that corner about down in there, and then connected onto all those drivers that are behind the T box there, and the main one which powers the big motor. That will then give me 4 motor control, or full 4 motor control. And then tomorrow I'm getting a longer USB, so I can get, well, the extender anyway, from the PC all the way over there, so I can control it from here. So I'm nowhere near it when that thing starts swinging. And I think from the first thing, what I do is, because I've got a wireless mouse, I might just run out somewhere and have a camera set up and just click the button and see if it explodes. Just I'm nowhere near it when it does inevitably blow up. No, so that's the plan. It's not going to blow up. It's going to work first time.
The worst thing that can happen is the club comes out of the holder.
I don't think it's that. I don't honestly think that's going to happen. I really don't. I think...
I don't really think it's going to happen either, but I said that's the worst thing that can happen. I don't...
Mythbusters safety screen. Yeah, Perspex. Sit there behind the little others.
It's like when they built the rocket and they test fired it in the workshop, and then it set everything on fire.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. I didn't know that one. Well, hopefully that's not going to happen here. Hopefully that will just be a case of I need to go get some turf on that tee. That tee there needs to have a little bit of turf on top, and I'll put a hole through the middle and obviously put a tee peg through. And then we're basically hitting everything off a tee. We're not hitting everything off turf. We don't want any interaction with the ground whatsoever. We don't want any kind of other noise to the data. We are literally hitting off a tee with an iron and a driver, obviously, but we're doing it with an iron as well. And we're trying to keep the data as clear and uncluttered as possible. Kyle says, hi Kyle, hope you're well. Hi gents, been listening. Just finished building a set of MP243 with Tie 105 shafts. Can't stop tinkering. You love it. You absolutely love it.
Tie 105.
Yeah, Kyle will, no doubt.
KDS? I don't know what TAI. I've heard of TAI.
He'll no doubt.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's just completely and utterly. I'll use the T from that one, I'll use the A from the other one, and I'll swap in the I for the end of the
Yep. Maybe it was TZI you meant to type. Oh yeah, because A is above C. It was the type.
Yeah.
TZI.
But yeah. So we'll see. It may explode, it may work, it may not. I mean, if this works first time, I think would be a minor miracle from a development point of view, design, and what do you think?
No, it's going to work, right? It's going to work. It's whether it's, needs tweaking to be as accurate as we need it to be. It's a different matter. It's going to work. It's not that complicated. It's a motor that spins a shaft.
Very complicated, I'll have you add. Very. Be worth a YouTube drink.
Yeah. It's, yeah, I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's very good.
Cool. And then we'll test it with an iron first at a very slow speed. Very. And then we'll do a wood. So I'll need to find a wood that I don't mind sacrificing. Just in case. But
GT3?
So I think... Oh, say again?
GT3?
Well, I don't think I'll use it, but then again, I haven't got it. I borrowed that one, so it's not here anyway.
Yeah.
Lucky enough. What else would I use? It will be last year's equipment. Oh, tell you what. Go on.
What was the really draw bias one? All right, did we launch that? Did we publish that data yet? Was it? Oh, never mind. It was something recent. I don't think we published.
Probably haven't done it yet. Arnold Palmer T on the YouTube drink. No. Arnold Palmer T. No, it's what's this? Brake fluid, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Guys, thank you very much for watching as always. Andy, thank you very much for joining us as always. Appreciate all your insights, input on all the topics we'll be talking about. Basically, you've been effectively robot in people's questions. And the CG stuff as well. Darren, if you're still watching, if you can send anything through on Discord, I think, well, Andy absolutely would be very interested to see your designs, and I wouldn't mind putting my eye over them as well, because it'd be interesting to see what someone else can come up with when it comes to design. That's the whole idea. People moving, innovating and inventing new ways of doing things. That's what pushes the industry forward, and if not, we wouldn't buy new stuff. And everyone likes shiny stuff from time to time.
I know, I like Mac.
I love shiny. I'm a Chrome fan. One last one. Silt Taco says, had a fitting for the MP line on last Friday. Had quite 4,800 spin with the 248. Is it possible that the mat's lower spin on TrackMan? Depending on what mats you have, they may have an impact on certain things, depending on how you hit the ball relative to the mat, will make you. If you're go on.
I was about to say what club head speed, because 4,800 doesn't sound that low from a 245. I mean, if you're at a 243 at 5,200, I would say those sound about right.
Yeah, and if you look at 243, had about 5.2, you're looking at 400 RPM, give or take.
So, all right. So what are we? 85 times what? 120 times.
Don't give out your
sign. 40. Hang on, we got to reverse it out. That doesn't matter. Shouldn't be doing this. 85 divided by 120.
There you go. The math nut is working his magic on the fly here. Drum roll, please. I don't think it's that much. I don't think there's that much in it.
That's 28 degrees of spin left.
What on
you got
on the 245?
So you got quite a lot of shaft lean going on there. That's like maybe at least 2 degrees of shaft lean. Yeah, at least 2 degrees of shaft lean and no AOA, or 4 degrees of shaft lean and a cup, something like that. So it's honestly not that far off from what a 245 should be at that speed.
I look at it and I don't necessarily see it. And if you look at the difference between the 5.2 on the 243 and it's not far off. I don't necessarily see that as an issue. Now, all I care about is necessarily the consistency of the 4.8 and the 5.2. That's all. 4.8 is not too low a spin profile. It's just if it's consistent, and if it's not consistent, then that's a bigger problem than anything to do with lower spin. But,
I think people just see people talking about 6,000 to 7,000 RPM as from a 7-iron, and just think 4,800 is way too low. And it's not. Like it's 6,000 from a 7-iron is like 90 plus miles an hour swing speed. Well over, probably closer to 94. From a modern 7-iron, it's like almost impossible. Like I can't get 6,000. I'm swinging 97 miles an hour.
Now, the only time I can hit 7,000 RPM with a 7-iron with my swing speed fully warmed up at 92 would be if I cut it. But then
you'd have to deliberately try to do that. Like, I can't. I can't get 6,000 off mine.
You're a drawer. So where a fader will gain a bit more spin, but I mean, again, that's just gaining on the basis.
But that's my point. Again, it's like there's far more. There's so many impact values, including modern clubs that where they're not prioritizing spin, and neither should they. So Darren,
what drills can I do to reduce my shaft lean? I assume there are multiple causes of this. Yeah, effectively shaft lean or excessive shaft lean is created by the head being that way of the grip, and that happens from either like that, or you are flat but your whole body is way ahead of it like this. Now really it's the only sort of two ways you can create excessive shaft lean. Excessive is an interesting word, but if it is excessive, you've got to try and get rid of the angles earlier. Excuse me. So if you're looking at trying to get that, you're looking at trying to get rid of the angles early. You are someone who's potentially very much so dragging like that. So you're too much into flexion and extension. You're trying to get out of transition and trying to get rid of the angles. So casting will get rid of the angles. Now, don't do this on the basis of just doing it without no coaching, because you've got low point to consider. If you are very good on your low point, it's just the fact that you are very, very down. As soon as you start getting rid of the angles early, you're going to hit the ground earlier and take a cubic yard of wherever you are in the world out before the ball. And so you need to marry whatever you're going to do with your wrist angles to how you laterally shift into the golf ball. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you transition. I don't know where you start and how you move during your swing. So again, it is a minefield. I can tell you what the culprits are, but without literally knowing your swing intimately of exactly how you get into that position, I don't necessarily want to say one thing or the other based on it could make you worse. There you go. Players' distance irons are for good strikes with lower speed who want more distance. Players' cavity are for less good ball strikers who want consistency. Absolutely right. There you go.
Actually, two questions at the same time there.
Oh, did it?
Well, no, I'm saying is you can answer
from
one
Kevin.
while talking.
Yes.
You were talking through one answer. I was typing through one answer.
Yeah, no, it's good. At what speed, swing speed are you starting to look away from players' distance and looking at? Yeah, yep, bang on that one. And Siltico says the fitter said I wouldn't have enough stopping power for flip's sake. With the 245s. So this is the problem which frustrates the living bejesus out of me, right? It frustrated me when I was fitting and coaching custom fitting full time. It just frustrated me. This is why I do what I do, and I have done what I've done for YouTube now. That's why I went full time, because I was sick and tired of trying to change 8 people's minds per day, 8 to 10 people's minds, depending on how long I wanted to work on that day. I can only change a certain amount of people's minds in one day. YouTube allows me to potentially, hopefully, educate and inform, and for people to realise that people have been basically fibbed to, and they constantly get fibbed to by this classic thought process of, no, you need spin, you need all of this spin, if not, you're going to have no stopping power. Stopping power does not come from spin. Stopping power comes from launch angle, peak height, and descent angle. It does not come from spin. If you had a golf ball going in at a green at 30 degrees and it had 15,000 RPM on the blooming thing, that's still not stopping on the green. That is going to hit the ground. Actually, excessive spin can actually make it worse. It can skip off the surface and just disappear. It's
Gambusters.
Next time anyone goes in for a fit-in, right, make sure you bring in, I don't know, go down to Asda or whatever your supermarket of choice is, right, and go get a big old fish, from the old fish counter, big one, right? Keep the head on and everything, right? And when the next person starts talking about spin, smack him round the face with it. Because it drives me mental.
Is that like the old Tango commercial?
You've been tangoed. They banned that. But it just frustrates the living daylights out of me when people start talking about, the fitters, you won't be able to stop the golf ball on the green if you only got less than 5,000 RPM there. Really? Then you've got no understanding of how spin actually is. Spin is there for consistency of flight. It is not there at all for stopping power. The only reason that you get zip back on your 58 and 60 is because, yes, it's got 10,000 RPM, but it's coming in like that, because a 58, what does a 58 do? Or a 60 degree? It launches the golf ball higher. Relative for its speed, it comes down steeper, and of course then, it's not the hitting the ground at the spin, stop it, it's the fact that the descent angle, it's a spin then, once it's stopped, then goes backwards.
Yeah, that's why you see, even when pros who with backspin, their ball goes bounce, 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 and then zips back.
Yes. And the reason why it stopped on the green to start with is because it was coming in like that, not like...
If it bounces onto the fringe and rough, no amount of spin is going to pull it back out of the rough.
No, and before people turn around and say, oh yeah, but we need optimal spin to get the ball climbing, I refer again to the very first part of the podcast when we spoke about this. Spin, to get a golf ball to climb, properly climb, so the spin is the predominant factor of peak height and descent angle, like, you are going to be so wasteful in your ball flight performance. You're going to be losing so much distance. It's crazy, like crazy. No, what you need is, if you're slow swing speed and you need that help in descent angle, stopping power, you need an iron with a very, very, very high launch factor, one with a CG quite low, and so it will then stick that. That's why we have that part of the website, AskGolfNut.com advanced data. You've got all the data on there, and that lists of one of many things, but it lists launch factor, and you can sort all the golf clubs in launch factor, so you can actually see which golf clubs potentially going to work for you or not. The spin, oh, for the love of...
To throw another wrench in the works, spin actually adds to the drag factor. There's a window where spin can reduce drag, but usually the spin is actually outside the drag window, so that when it spins enough, it adds drag and actually slows the ball down, which actually can hurt descent angle, because if it's going up slower, it's going to come down earlier and therefore come in at a shallower angle. So too much spin actually is bad. So that's why, drivers, you want the spin low.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole idea, you optimize the flight, you optimize the launch, you optimize the spin profile to try and get the most distance for that golfer's swing speed and, well, for that golfer's ball speed more than swing speed, because everyone's different swing speed and they deliver different efficiency depending on whether they're on the face and how efficient they are. But whatever golfer's swing ball speed is, there is an optimal launch angle and spin profile for the driver to optimize carry. Oh, people. Fitters, will you just stop? I know it's great sales, and I know people are, the majority of people, and I know, yes, in my previous roles, I have been a little bit, shall we say, in Puzzle Palace, sitting on a certain pedestal, because no, I didn't do commission-based selling. I had no interest in commission whatsoever. I don't make money from the sale whatsoever. I don't care. The whole motivation for me was the fact that an individual came in and they got fit correctly for their golf club. If they chose to buy, then great for the company, because I was self-employed for where I was working at. They're great. They get a sale, brilliantly, whatever. My point of view, I just want them to make sure they get the best equipment possible. And I don't care if they buy or not. If they walked out knowing and learning loads, brilliant. From a coach's perspective, oh my word. We're gonna have to stop now before
that's just burn another 20 minutes.
Burst a blood vessel. Right, so because he showed me the optimal numbers that TrackMan calculated and was keen on the spin numbers. Yeah, I know. TrackMan loves the optimal numbers.
But you get, it's like the car thing, right? When you go to buy a car, and the car salesman, they're interested in selling you the car, and you can't assume that just because they're a car salesman, they're the most knowledgeable people about cars. Most of them don't really know much about cars. They're just there to sell cars.
There is a certain, shall we say, TrackMan know full well what their product is used for. It is not just used for one particular, it's used in many different platforms. Coaching and custom fitting, two are the biggest. And they know that their products are going to be used to effectively sell equipment. And so to add certain things to aid the people, because they want to sell TrackMans, they want to sell the equipment to fitters, etc., to be able to sell equipment. And having certain things on certain parts of the software enables them to do it. There's no surprise. It's not, yeah. Silco says it's hard if the advice is go get fit, but the fitters are inadequate to fit, or aren't adequate to fit. Yes, it's very true. This is why, though, it's imperative that the golfers in question, every single golfer, puts the legwork in to educate themselves the importance of things. In every arena nowadays, it's becoming more and more important to ensure you don't get ripped off. Effectively, you understand the fundamental parts of what you require. This is why, again, AskGolfNut.com was created. So it stopped golfers from being able to get ripped off, because in that one there, look, the self-fit tool, which is on this one over here, the whole idea of that is that the golfers can look at all the irons that we've got, 70 or so on the database now, put their own information in and see how different golf clubs will potentially compare relative to how they swing, and not get completely and utterly absorbed in someone trying to sell this brand or that brand, because the marketing, the margin on one brand is bigger than another brand. They're going to make more money. There you go. Oh, I see. You're trying to change the world bit by bit by bit. Right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I need to go in and have a bit of a, I need to go home. I need to, just sit in a dark room for a bit. Or just turn the lights off in here. No, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for the chat. Thank you everyone for the chat, for the questions. Hope everyone, sorry for the lack of agenda today. Obviously, I've been busy, as one can see. Let's just flick over quickly to the fruits of the labour. There you go. There he is over there. RoboNut, or whatever we're going to call it. Yeah, I'm not as yet.
Get her alive, coming with me.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about putting a panel on the front of that. So that's what I was thinking. Oh, Don, you are a very, very kind individual. Thank you very, very much for that. I think I will have to, definitely.
Are you gonna split that?
You're not getting irate. I need a blood pressure monitor. But yeah, I might put a panel on the front of that. Can you see my finger? There you go. I might put a panel on here, and then I might paint it in chalk paint. You know, that blackboard paint that you can actually write names and stuff of people that have very kindly donated. There you go. That may be. Right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Hopefully next week we'll get questions that don't set me off. I don't want to. I can remember back in the day I used to have a rant, and every so often I went off on a rant. I'm trying to stay away from the rant.
Maybe not talk at all next week. Maybe just let the balls hit balls with the robot and just.
But that's if it's working next week. I'm hoping everything's working by next week, but. Still some bits and pieces to do. We've still got the software to sort out. We've still got all the acceleration curves and all the programming side of things to work out and sort out. But that's the fun side. You can do all this. This is the construction bit, but the important bit afterwards comes to getting everything working as you need it to. But we'll see. So thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you very much for everybody. Thank you very much to Don. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that one. Give Don a bit of AGN love in there. And we'll see everyone next week. Same bat time, same bad channel. Bye, everybody.
Bye.